I said, well, I'm not going to get a bunch of degrees to not be able to pay my bills. So I pivoted from wanting to save animals to cooking them. I was a senior, and it should have told me that I was going to go into cooking and helping people, because we were feeding people up until they closed the interstates. We were at one of my uncle's restaurants feeding state troopers and all that. I actually came back down before my family and stayed in a camper behind the restaurant feeding first responders and stuff like that. I was going to be a vet. I just knew that's what I wanted to do my whole life. And then 2008 market collapse happened, and all the vets I was talking to were going bankrupt. I said, well, I'm not going to get a bunch of degrees to not be able to pay my bills. So I pivoted from wanting to save animals to cooking them. So finished with a culinary degree, was starting a master's, and my dad calls me and he said, we've been doing the live auctions. I grew up, my sister, my mom, my dad, and I, we were thrifted to survive, but we were always finding stuff to flip and redo and resell. And we were going to a local country auction. After Katrina, my parents ended up in Mississippi, and I was up in Natchitoches at school. And my dad said, what do you think about opening an auction house? And he was having some health issues. And I said, I think it's a really good idea. So I moved down, and we opened a weekly live auction. And I had the best auctioneer partner ever. Antiques, collectibles. It's where I learned Westmoreland and Fenton glass, and, all the different collectible glasses, high-end Waterford crystal, different things like that, was through the auction house over in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Unfortunately, my auctioneer passed away about 2 years into that. And it was one of those, it just took it out of us. Like him and I, from eating dinners together, going to Waffle House after the auction, waking up 2 hours later to go thrifting and garage selling and find stuff, just kind of lost that spark. So then I said, well, I got a culinary degree. I'd been cooking at a place during the day. Let me get back into cooking some more. Moved up into executive chef there, built a whole catering program, and then it was time to head back to New Orleans. And that puts us at 2015 when I came back in Messina's. She's called me, your mom's freaking out. You're cooking at a bar at night. I said, I'm making $300 or $400 cooking hot dogs, homemade chili, and steak sandwiches. I was fine with it. She said, come help me for a weekend. And the 22nd made 11 years. I've been with Messina since that weekend. That's a little bit on the culinary side.
That's so so there was always a balance between reselling and also chefing, sounds like.